In this presentation, I will perform an evaluation of Peter Singer's argument. Peter Singer is a utilitarian who is in favor of donating to help the global poor. In his book, The Life You Can Save, Peter Singer puts forth a relatively radical moral argument that stems from admirable intentions, which is to call on the public to collectively help the world's poor within their power. Since he is a utilitarian, I will evaluate his argument under the utilitarian framework and introduce a significant flaw that I have identified. The question that prompts my evaluation is that, is giving donations the necessary condition for maximizing human welfare? Before I present you with a concrete example to negate his argument, a logical derivation would be helpful in understanding the flow of my argument. First, according to utilitarianism, an action is right if and only if it would produce the highest amount of human welfare compared to other alternatives. Secondly, according to Singer, if you do not donate to aid agencies, you're doing something wrong. So if we link step 1 and 3 together, we arrive at the conclusion that one contributes to maximizing human welfare only if one donates. Put differently, donating is the necessary condition for maximizing human welfare. However, if I can prove that there exist some cases where we can maximize human welfare without giving donations, then Singer's argument would be negated, because the morally right action does not necessarily have to be donating. And this is exactly what I'll be proving later using the case of investment. The thesis statement for my presentation is that not only does there exist other means, such as investing, that can achieve the highest level of human welfare, but investing is also a superior means than donating for the utilitarian goal. The reason is that first, donations only promote the welfare of a relatively fixed number of present people, but investing in enterprises that are working to solve issues regarding mankind's survival produce welfare in an indefinite amount of present and future people. Second, donations contribute mostly to one-time consumptions, where investments contribute to an infinite stream of present and future benefits. Although some people might object to the uncertainty of investment, such uncertainty is not a valid reason for us to not invest. We cannot risk the welfare of an indefinite number of people, according to Singer's principle. The targeted population for donation and investment are hugely different. Since utilitarianism is essentially about calculating and comparing utility, we can perform one with donation and investment. Let's assume that there are 1.4 billion people living in poverty that we can help through donations, and an infinite amount of present and future people that we can help by investing in firms that address deadly threats to mankind. Then which action maximizes human welfare? This utility calculation can give us a straightforward answer. Suppose helping one person produces 10 units of utility. If we donate and lift every poor person out of poverty, we get 10 times 1.4 billion equals 14 billion units of utility. But by addressing deadly threats to mankind, such as a meteor crash, climate change, etc., the number of people we can help through investments is infinite. Therefore, investment produces 10 times infinite equals infinite units of utility. By comparing the sizes of the populations that donations and investments can each help, which is 1.4 billion versus infinite, I have proven two things. First, donating is not the necessary condition for maximizing human welfare because investing is another means to this end. Secondly, investing has a better potential at maximizing human welfare than donating because instead of producing welfare in a relatively fixed amount of people, investments can help an infinite amount of people. For example, if everyone invests in space exploration and we find another habitable planet, then we have successfully saved the lives of an infinite amount of people who would have died when the sun burns out in the future. Another reason why donation is neither the necessary condition nor the best means to maximize human welfare is because donations usually contribute to one-time consumptions, such as food and water. A good way of visualizing my argument is to see the benefits of donations as a single dot, and see the benefits of investment as an infinitely extended line. Donations do satisfy the urgent needs of impoverished people, but consumption does not yield long-lasting effects and welfare. Suppose you donate $10 to buy food for a starving person today. The food can make them feel full for a day. But after the $10 is spent and the food is consumed, it cannot produce welfare for the person tomorrow. In order to prove my point, we can take a look at a real-world example. This is the website for a well-known charity organization called Concern Worldwide. This organization intervenes in the world's poorest countries and helps the most vulnerable people. On the bottom left corner, we can see that most of their funds go to relief and development. That is 89.8%. And then on the top right corner, we can see that most of this relief money was spent on emergencies, such as giving food to people in Syria who were affected by the war, or give food and water to people in Ethiopia who suffered from drought and low levels of food production. What this organization does is very important and admirable, but it proves my point that the money we donate is usually contributed to one-time consumptions. On the other hand, we can take a look at how the money that we invest could be potentially spent. We can take a look at the mission statement of Tesla. Their goal is to accelerate the advance of sustainable transport by bringing compelling mass-market electric cars to market as soon as possible. Tesla has successfully marketed its electric cars and accelerated our transition to sustainable energy. Investments in companies like this can generate an infinite stream of benefits in the long run. Hopefully soon, with the power of leading electric car companies like Tesla, we and our future generations will never have to worry about carbon dioxide emissions from vehicles. Therefore, because of the limitation of the duration of benefits donations provide, which is usually immediate and one-time, it is not a preferable means to maximize welfare. On the other hand, investment is clearly another existing means to do so. Regardless of how appealing investments sound under the utilitarian framework to maximize human welfare, I have predicted a possible objection. Some people might argue that millions of research funding and investment are spent without making any significant progress. After all, we still have not been able to migrate to another planet. So if investments cannot certainly maximize human welfare, then why should we do it? In order to address this objection, we can take a look at how Singer responds to the same objection to donation. According to Singer, although we cannot be 100% certain about whether the money we give to a charity is really helping the people it's intended to help, such uncertainty does not override our duty to donate. What he is saying is that as long as there are some risks that if we do not donate, someone could die, this risk is sufficient to make donating as our duty. The loss of human welfare is not a risk that we can afford to take. Similarly, although we cannot be 100% certain about whether the money that we invest can really contribute to significant human progresses, such uncertainty is not a valid reason for us to not invest. What if, even with the slightest chance, your unwillingness to invest leads to the postponement of a solution to robot apocalypse and humans go extinct as a consequence? We cannot risk the welfare of an indefinite amount of people, and we should do whatever that can potentially maximize human welfare. According to my previous argument, investing is a better option than donating. With my presentation, I'm not trying to undermine Singer's emphasis on helping the world's poor. I think it's very important. I just think that his argument seems to wrongfully glorify donation as the one and only act that will produce the highest level of human welfare. My goal of this presentation is to negate Singer's argument that donation is the necessary condition for maximizing human welfare by proving the existence of another means that can achieve this goal. Not only have I negated his argument using investment as an example, but I have also shown investing to be a superior means to donating if we were to maximize human welfare. If we take a look at the table, donation can only help a finite number of people with short-term benefits, whereas investment can help an infinite amount of people with sometimes even eternal stream of benefits. Last but not least, according to Singer's principle, uncertainty cannot override the duty to perform a morally right action. So the uncertainty of the outcomes of an investment is not a valid reason for us to reject it. If we apply my previous conclusion to an argument as strong as the one the Singer makes, then the argument becomes investing should be the necessary condition for maximizing human welfare, and if you do not invest, you're doing something wrong. And even if I'm not willing to make that strong of an argument, I can still concede and safely say that investment produces at least the same amount of welfare as donations. So either way, Singer's argument is negated because our duty does not have to be giving donations, and donating is not the necessary condition for maximizing human welfare. Here is the list of the works that I have cited during my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.